everybody? The BathMat here. We're going to take a little effort tag today. We're going to have a story narrated by Ken Redding, not the BathMat, called A Boy and His Bee. And with maybe some extra time, we'll talk a little bit about the other guitars, but there will not be guitars shown or played tonight other than this crappy slide projected picture of the V. So, hope that isn't too disappointing, but it should be a semi-interesting story about the guitar. And I'm going to take it from there, and I will be off camera. So, enjoy, and I will see you at the end of the 10. A Boy and His V. It all started back in band at Calumet School in Calumet Park, Illinois, where I played trombone in the school band. I played in the school band in grade school and all through high school. But during the high school years, I started to listen to the rock and roll music and started buying many records at Hegwish Records and going to live concert shows. And at some point, the trombone did not seem so glamorous, even though later in life, when I got into ska, that might have come in handy. But anyway, that didn't happen. So I got the idea that I wanted to be a guitar player, and that was a sole focus for me at that point. I wanted to be a rock and roll star. So we were going to Moraine, and I drove by Payless Music quite a bit, and I knew they sold guitars there. So I decided to get a few friends together to help me out to look for a guitar. So Mike Philippone and Jerry Warzlek and I went to Payless Music to look for guitars. Mike didn't know much about guitars, but some. Jerry knew a lot. So we went and we walked in, and there hanging in the used guitar section was the most beautiful flying V I had ever seen. Dark natural wood finish, just jumped off the wall at me. I didn't care if it was broken in half at that point. I just wanted it so badly. So Jerry rubber stamped it for me. He said it was a good guitar. He looked up and down things and gave me the rubber stamp. And $400 later, I was walking out of the store, the owner of a flying V, just like many of my guitar heroes, like Jimi Hendrix, with the hand-painted model. Tom Petty's first album cover had a picture of the V on it. K.K. Downing of Judas Priest and Michael Schenker of UFO and Scorpions all played the V, and I thought it was a unique and amazing guitar. Now, I walked out the door with a guitar I had no idea how to play. So I had a few friends, taught me a few things, but luckily for me, punk rock came along at that time and afforded me the opportunity to play with a little less skill, let's say, than necessary. So I learned a few things on the guitar, and then Moraine had a gong show at the time. Anybody that remembers the gong show, amateur talent came on and made fools of themselves. So I started a band called the New Modes, named after the thing you would win on Bozo's Buckets #1, New Mode Hosiery for your mom. And myself and Fred Perry, not the clothes Fred Perry, another Fred Perry. He was my drummer, and him and I did a song at the gong show, and we wore hose over our heads, like, you do when you rob a bank. So anyway, I also fashioned a guitar strap out of a skinny tie that I had so I could be more punk rock. And not thinking about the weight of the guitar and that it might not support the guitar, at the end of the show, I spun to the side and flipped the guitar around my neck to my back, and the tie broke right off, and the guitar fell face down with a sickening thud. Now I picked it up, and thank God, it wasn't broken. It looked great. Until I turned it back over one more time and realized the headstock was only holding together by the strings. it was completely broken off the fingerboard. So now I was on a quest to find someone to fix my guitar, which everybody told me was impossible. This was not the age of the internet, peoples. So I went and I found a place finally, the only place in Chicago that would do this kind of work, Wooden Music. I believe it was down on Lincoln. And they fixed it, did a great job. There was another $175 down the toilet. But I got my V back and I couldn't be happier. So went down to Carbondale, SIU, brought my guitar with me there, and played it very little, but, had to have it in the room as a status symbol for myself. And at some point, like all college students, I ran out of money. So decided the thing that I had the most value was the guitar, and there was a local guitar store, music store, so I went in there. I wanted to sell it. The guy asked me how much. I said $400, and he said, I'll give you $250. And I almost passed out. I almost started crying. I just couldn't sell it for $250. And so I just stood there with my head down at the counter, case open with the guitar in it. And in walks a guy while I'm still there. He's like, oh, wow, a V. He's like, what are you doing with it? I'm like, well, I want to sell it. He's like, well, how much? I'm like, $400. He's like, stay right here. I'll be right back. And 10 minutes later, came back with the 400 beans, walked out the door with my baby, and that was the last I ever saw of her. Very regrettable day. I'm sorry I did it. Wish I could have figured out another way to get the money, because that thing would be worth triple that right now. And I really wish I still had it. I hope the picture isn't too crappy so you can get a little idea what it was, but it was a great machine. So then the next thing I did was, when I was traveling on the road after school, I bought 2 new guitars, an acoustic guitar and a Les Paul copy, which is a very heavy electric guitar. And I bought a little amp that I could carry around on the road with me, and I would check them as baggage or carry on the guitars, put them in the truck with the one truck driver when we drove around on the PGA Tour, took it around for me. And I still have those today. Those are great guitars. Then I was tired of having copies of guitars, so I wanted to have a real guitar, and I bought a Fender Stratocaster. It was the Squire model, which is a cheapo version, but I still had a Fender Strat. So that I still have that as well, and that's a great guitar. Then for Christmas one year, I bought my daughter Paige a bass guitar, an SG Epiphone, which is now in my collection. And I also bought her an Epiphone Baby V, which I have in my collection. And about 5 years ago for Christmas, I got a Fender Telecaster Squire also, which again is their lowest level model of Fender's Telecaster, but a great guitar nonetheless, and that's my go-to right now. That's what I play the most of. So when we do the live guitar demo, and be ready for that. It's coming tomorrow, and we'll have that, and you'll see all those guitars, and you'll see them in action. Some of my 10 favorite guitarists are Rory Gallagher, Andy Gill, Neil Young, Roy Buchanan. I wrote them down, like Bruce told me to, but that's hanging up behind me. Please hold. Robert Fripp, Mick Ronson, Johnny Winter, Buddy Guy, Keith Levine, John Haggerty, Dallas Good of the Sadies, all great guitar players and all inspirations to me, especially Andy Gill, who just passed away last year, but was my favorite all-time guitarist and changed the way I looked at guitar completely. So by my clock, it looks like we're getting down there to the end. So tomorrow we will be having live music, and if you want to call it that. But we'll be showing off the guitars, having some trouble lighting the studio for different versions of this. And other than that, See you tomorrow. Oh, I got Bandork from John DeLorto.